The first USS Juneau was a United States Navy Atlanta-class light cruiser sunk at the Naval Battle of Guadalcanal 13 November 1942. In total 687 men, including the 5 Sullivan brothers, were killed in action as a result of its sinking. She was laid down by Federal Shipbuilding Company, Kearney, New Jersey, on the 27th of May 1940, launched on the 25th of October 1941, sponsored by Mrs. Harry I. Lucas, wife of the mayor of the city of Juneau, Alaska, and commissioned on the 14th of February 1942, Captain Lyman K. Vinson in command. Service history. Following a hurried shakedown cruise along the Atlantic coast in the spring of 1942, Juneau assumed blockade patrol in early May off Martinique and Guadeloupe Islands to prevent the escape of Vichy French naval units. She returned to New York to complete alterations and operated in the North Atlantic and Caribbean from the 1st of June to the 12th of August on patrol and escort duties. The cruiser departed for the Pacific Theater on the 22nd of August. Pacific Theater. After stopping briefly at the Tonga Islands and New Caledonia, she rendezvoused on the 10th of September with Task Force 18 under the command of Rear Admiral Lee Noyes, flying his flag on WASP. The following day TF-17, which included Hornet, combined with Admiral Noyes' unit to form TF-61, whose mission was to ferry fighter aircraft to Guadalcanal. On the 15th of September, WASP took 3 torpedo hits from the Japanese submarine I-19 and, with fires raging out of control, was sunk at 2,100 by Lansdowne. Juneau and screen destroyers rescued 1,910 survivors of WASP and returned them to Espiritu Santo, New Hebrides on the 16th of September. The next day, the fast cruiser rejoined TF-17. Operating with the Hornet Group, she supported 3 actions that repulsed enemy thrusts at Guadalcanal: the Buenaventura Raid, the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands, and the Naval Battle of Guadalcanal. Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands. The ship's first major action was the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands on the 26th of October. On the 24th of October, Hornet's task force had combined with Enterprise Group to reform TF-61 under the command of Rear Admiral Thomas C. Kincaid. This force positioned itself north of the Santa Cruz Islands in order to intercept enemy units that might attempt to close Guadalcanal. Meanwhile, on Guadalcanal, the Japanese achieved a breakthrough along Lunga Ridge on the night of the 25th of October. The success evidently was a signal for enemy surface units to approach the island. Early on the morning of the 26th of October, U.S. carrier planes uncovered the enemy force and immediately attacked it, damaging 2 Japanese carriers, 1 heavy cruiser and 2 destroyers. But while American aircraft were locating and engaging the enemy, American ships were also under fire. Shortly after 1000, some 27 enemy aircraft attacked Hornet, though Juneau and other screen ships threw up an effective AA barrage which shot down about 20 of the attackers. Hornet was badly damaged and sank the next day. Just before noon, Juneau left Hornet's escort for the beleaguered Enterprise Group several miles away. Adding her firepower, Juneau assisted in repulsing 4 enemy attacks on this force and shooting down 18 Japanese planes. That evening the American forces retired to the southeast. Although the battle had been costly, it, combined with the Marine victory on Guadalcanal, turned back the attempted Japanese parry in the Solomons. Furthermore, the damaging of 2 Japanese carriers sharply curtailed the air cover available to the enemy in the subsequent Naval Battle of Guadalcanal. Naval Battle of Guadalcanal on the 8th of November, Juneau departed New Caledonia as a unit of TF-67 under the command of Rear Admiral Richmond K. Turner to escort reinforcements to Guadalcanal. The force arrived there early morning on the 12th of November, and Juneau took up her station in the protective screen around the transports and cargo vessels. Unloading proceeded unmolested until 14:05, when 30 Japanese planes attacked the alerted United States crew. The AA fire was effective, and Juneau alone accounted for 6 enemy torpedo bombers shot down. The few remaining Japanese planes were in turn attacked by American fighters. Only one bomber escaped. Later in the day, an American attack group of cruisers and destroyers cleared Guadalcanal on reports that a large enemy surface force was headed for the island. At 0148 on the 13th of November, Rear Admiral Daniel J. Callahan's relatively small landing support group engaged the enemy. The Japanese force consisted of 2 battleships, 1 light cruiser, and 9 destroyers. Because of bad weather and confused communications, the battle occurred in near-pitch darkness and at almost point-blank range as the ships of the two sides became intermingled. During the melee, Juneau was struck on the port side by a torpedo launched by Japanese destroyer Amatsukas, causing a severe list, and necessitating withdrawal. Before noon on the 13th of November, Juneau, along with 2 other cruisers damaged in the battle, Helena and San Francisco, headed toward Espiritu Santo for repairs. Juneau was steaming on 1 screw, keeping station 800 yards off the starboard quarter of the likewise severely damaged San Francisco. She was down 12 feet by the bow, but able to maintain 13 knots. A few minutes after 1100, 2 torpedoes were launched from I-26. These were intended for San Francisco, but both passed ahead of her. One struck Juneau in the same place that had been hit during the battle. There was a great explosion. Juneau broke in two and disappeared in just 20 seconds. Fearing more attacks from I-26, and wrongly assuming from the massive explosion that there were no survivors, Helena and San Francisco departed without attempting to rescue any survivors. In fact, more than 100 sailors had survived the sinking of Juneau. They were left to fend for themselves in the open ocean for 8 days before rescue aircraft belatedly arrived. While awaiting rescue, all but 10 died from the elements and shark attacks, including the 5 Sullivan brothers. 2 of the brothers apparently survived the sinking, only to die in the water. 2 presumably went down with the ship. Some reports indicate the 5th brother also survived the sinking, but disappeared during the first day in the water. On the 20th of November 1942, US Ballard recovered 2 of the 10 survivors. They were found in separate rafts around 5 miles apart. One of the survivors recovered by Ballard stated he had been with one of the Sullivan brothers for several days after the sinking. Awards. Juneau received 4 battle stars for her service in World War II.